Let me speak to a particular issue that's addressed today by the nominee that's before us. There are two nominees I've mentioned from Illinois to fill vacancies in the Northern District, John Lee and Jay Tharp. The Chief Judge of the Northern District, Jim Holderman, sent a letter to me and Senator Kirk in February calling for Mr. Lee and Mr. Tharp to be confirmed without delay because of the heavy caseload in this court. Senator Kirk and I decided to work together on a bipartisan basis, and we did. We had a process that we both agreed on. He picked a group, a bipartisan group, to come up with his nominee. I did the same on my side. But the understanding was, at the end of the day, neither of our nominees would move forward without the approval of the other senator. So, in fact, they were bipartisan choices, both of them. John Lee is my choice. Jay Tharp is Senator Kirk's choice. We both support one another's choice. We believe both of these nominees have the experience, qualifications, temperament, and integrity necessary to serve in the federal judiciary. Mr. Lee and Mr. Tharp were both nominated on November 10th, 2011, 6 months ago. They appeared together at a hearing before the Judiciary Committee in January. They were both reported out of committee in February in a bipartisan voice vote. Now, there was an agreement reached between Senators McConnell and Senator Harry Reid, the majority leader, about the nominees that we brought for a vote. I was surprised when it was announced in March that the Lee and Tharp nominations, which had been together all through the process, were separated. The deal or arrangement called for John Lee to be scheduled for a confirmation vote by May 7th. But at the insistence of the Republican leadership, Senator McConnell, the deal did not include all the nominees on the Senate calendar, and it did not schedule a vote for Mr. Jay Tharp, Senator Kirk's nominee. I believe that they should be confirmed together, just as they were nominated together and went through the committee together. As soon as I heard about this so-called arrangement, I went to first Senator Kyle and then to Senator McConnell and said, don't do this. Don't hold up Senator Kirk's nominee. He's in the hospital, now he's home, thank goodness, recovering from a stroke. We did this together. We're working together. Don't separate these two fine men. There's no reason to do it. But I understand that this was the arrangement, and they didn't want to change it, even to help Senator Kirk under these circumstances. They wanted to do only 2 nominees a week over a 7-week period of time. And the cutoff, the line they drew, was unfortunately between Mr. Lee and Mr. Tharp. Well, I was going to make a unanimous consent request today to include Mr. Tharp along with Mr. Lee on the vote that we're about to take. There's only one reason I'm not. We have received an ironclad assurance from the Senate Republican floor staff that Mr. Tharp is going to be called on a timely basis during this work period. I'm going to hold them to it. I don't want to embarrass anyone, but it bothers me that the nominee of Senator Kirk is being held up by the Republican side of the aisle when it should be voted on today. There is no reason why it should not be voted on today. We should vote for both of them. But because a word has been given to me by a staff member whom I respect very much, I won't make this unanimous consent request. But let me say this. If something happens, I don't know what it might be, but I hope it doesn't, but if something happens, I'm prepared to come to the floor and make that unanimous consent request, not only on behalf of Senator Kirk, but on behalf of my state and behalf of my own interest in making sure that our federal judiciary has a complement of qualified people. Let me say a few words about each nominee. Extraordinarily good nominees. John Lee was nominated to fill the spot that Judge David Carr held. Mr. Lee is currently a partner at the law firm Freeborn Peters, where he practices primarily in commercial litigation. He's the son of a coal miner and a nurse. He immigrated to this country and to Chicago at a very young age. From humble beginnings, he attended Harvard College, where he graduated magna cum laude, earning his law degree from Harvard Law School cum laude. After law school, Mr. Lee worked as a trial attorney in the Department of Justice's Environment and Natural Resources Division. After his tenure at the Justice Department, he worked in private practice, eventually joining the firm he currently works with. His law practice is focused on antitrust, intellectual property, environmental, and other complex commercial litigation matters. He's received numerous awards and recognition, including leading lawyer from 2008 through 2011 by the Leading Lawyers Network. He has an outstanding record of community service, including his work as president of the Board of Directors of Asian Human Services of Chicago, service on the Board of Directors of the CARPLS Legal Hotline for low-income Cook County residents, and his service on the board of the Asian American Bar Association of Greater Chicago. It's an historic nomination for John Lee. Upon confirmation, he would be the first Korean American ever to serve as a federal Article III judge in Illinois and only the second to serve in that capacity in our entire nation's history. Let me say a word about Jay Tharp. Again, I'm disappointed that I couldn't persuade the Republican leadership to include him today, but have their assurance that he'll be called during this work period. Jay Tharp was nominated to fill the Chicago District Judge court judgeship, opening by the the senior status of Judge Blanche Manning. Mr. Tharp currently is a partner in the Chicago office of Mayor Brown, co-leader of the firm's securities litigation and enforcement practice. Born into a military family as the son of Lieutenant Colonel in the Marine Corps, he attended Duke University on an ROTC scholarship, received his undergraduate degree summa cum laude, and was commissioned as a second lieutenant in the Marine Corps. Jay Tharp served in active duty with the Marines for 6 years, achieving the rank of captain, earning the Navy Achievement Medal and the Navy Distinguished Midshipman's Award. After his military service, Mr. Tharp attended Northwestern University Law School, graduating magna cum laude, serving on their law review. Upon graduation, he clerked for Judge Joel Flom on the Seventh Circuit, then worked as an assistant U.S. attorney for 6 years in Chicago. After his tenure as federal prosecutor, he joined Mayor Brown, where his practice specializes in complex commercial litigation and criminal investigation. He's received numerous recognitions. He served as adjunct professor of trial advocacy at the Northwestern University Law School and serves as a member of the Law Fund Board at Northwestern, which oversees fundraising efforts by law school alumni. Two extraordinarily good nominees went through the bipartisan process together, approved by Senator Kirk and approved by me, went through their investigative period in the White House together, came to the committee together, were reported out together, came to the calendar together, but were separated out. That's unfair. And I hope that by the end of this work period that Mr. Tharp will join John Lee on the federal bench. They're two exceptionally good nominees, and on behalf of Senator Kirk, I'll do everything to make sure that this happens in the days ahead.